Alrighty, let's get this set up quick. We are live today. We are hunkered down because it is cold. It is freezing cold out there. Negative 45 with the wind chill at the coldest. If you can stay out of the wind, you might be lucky if it's negative 15. It is not fit for human living out there at all. So cold today that the tractor wouldn't start. So I got it plugged in, got it charging, and we've got the got it charging, and I got the block heater plugged in as well. So hopefully that's going to be able to start here because I still got to get the animals water. How's the sound and everything?
Good.
All right. While we wait for people, I'm gonna make some meatballs. Got to keep our energy up and so we'll have delicious carnivore power balls here in just a little bit. We'll be putting out a recipe, probably, well, that'll be the next video, is a recipe for these. They are extremely high in fat, which you want on a carnivorous diet. So we are going to eat meat, talk about the cold weather, things that we have to do on the farm when it is this freezing cold, because there's people in places that never have to experience this. This is a very different environment. Now, of course, there's thousands of people that know what's going on, but there's a lot more that have no clue what it takes while you're farming in negative 45 degrees with the wind chill. And I'm sure it's worse some places. It's been worse here before, so this is not anything new. But before we get into that, how's everything?
Everything is good. The wood stove has been working really hard at trying to keep the main floor at a good temperature. I know that I've seen one person who lives in Iowa. They post small videos and stuff. Her furnace can't keep their house warm enough, so it's like it's staying at like 50 degrees in their house. Mm-hmm. And so they're putting electric heaters in their living room, and she's put blankets up over all of her windows, and so they can keep the living room at 58. Yep. So everyone's been sleeping in the living room.
Do they have an insulation problem?
Yeah, it's an old house, and they haven't re-insulated it. So yeah, their furnace is really struggling to keep up with this weather.
I bet I know what they're gonna do this summer.
Yeah, re-insulate or put a wood stove in. Probably both.
Without insulation, you're gonna struggle no matter what.
Yeah.
Thankfully the insulation in this house is good enough. I've lived in worse houses. Mm-hmm. I mean, far worse houses.
I'm used to having drifts come through, like drafts come through windows, and there is not a single window that I feel that just the front door, and you got a pretty good handle over that door this year with getting it better sealed. So,
well, I'm used to having a drift come through that drawer. Actual drift.
Yeah, a snow drift came through that door last year.
Not drawer.
Yeah.
But yeah, so drifting, a lot of drifting. We didn't get a lot of snow. We got a lot of drifting. And so the drifting isn't that bad, but we did have blizzard conditions here.
By the way, I did hear about 5 inches.
About 5 inches.
About 5 inches, nothing. Somewhere around there for us. So that's not a huge amount. Just with drifting, then you may get some 3-foot drifts.
It's nothing compared to feet of snow.
Yeah.
Like 5 feet of snow last year there was a place that got that or more.
It was like 20 something. Not feet,
20.
But 20 something inches.
No, I'm talking about a place, not here.
Oh.
a place got like feet of snow all at once
Oh, sure.
in one storm.
Yeah.
So thankfully, no. Hello, N2. Yeah.
Yeah, it is very cold. Not something you want to be outside in right now. It's. I haven't left the house since, so like the day before, just before the storm started, I went to the grocery store to just pick up just a few things, just pick up some like bacon and cheese and stuff like that. And that was the last time I left the house, and that was what, Friday? Yeah,
Yep.
It was Friday. So I haven't left the house since then. He hasn't left the house in longer than that, just because with him even being inside the house, I don't know if he's teething or something, but he's just been drooling excessively, which is then causing his face to get all chapped up and red and stuff. So I've been putting some ointment and cream on him. He's looking a little better, but he's like right down here and right over here. He's just really dry and so he needs some moisturizing.
So yeah, we got lots of concerns with the cold weather. A lot of things that we had to do to prepare for it. Kind of got late notice. That's nobody's fault except ours. But we started out by getting the animals, any that were still out in the pasture that didn't have shelter, started out by making sure that they had shelter, because with wind chills getting down to -45 can cause a lot of problems for the animals. They just have to have shelter at that point. They got to be able to get out of the wind. Not that they don't go out in it and they're fine for a few minutes, but then they got to be able to get back in the wind. So, excuse the noise, excuse the scurrying about. We've got dogs in heat. We've got children, and that's just our life. So,
Yeah.
not apologizing for it. Just excuse it.
Yeah. And we've got, with how cold it is, any eggs that are being laid, like
Oh yeah.
Delaney has to go out every half hour to an hour to check for eggs, because they will freeze in that amount of time. So she's constantly going out, checking for eggs so that we can get eggs. And then the dogs are just inside because it's just a tad bit too cold for them to be wandering out there on the snow. I know when Bella came in, her paws were bright red. So she needed to come inside. The only problem is she's going into heat. Pumpkin's been in heat, and so Pumpkin's sequestered to the bathroom. Ragnar isn't bothered too much with Bella right now, but so that's just how it is. Yes,
They,
they're right.
They pick the best times to follow nature's urgings, and yeah, we've got animals in shelter or with access to shelter. We have to keep up on their feed, because with these cold days, they need that extra feed. So keep up on their feed and give them extra feed so that they can generate the heat, the body warmth to stay alive, to survive.
So we are in Iowa, and actually we did not get hit as bad as everyone south of us. So we're in the northern central part of Iowa, where, I mean, further south they got hammered with a whole lot more snow than what we did. So we got the mild hitting of it. But and do I have cornstarch powder? I used to. I don't really use it a lot, but if you're looking for like what are you asking for? What I would use it for? So, because I do have a replacement that I use instead of cornstarch. I use something else if you're talking about like drying things out. But okay.
Also, keeping that tractor plugged in apparently is necessary. That wouldn't start today, so got the block heater plugged in. I've got the battery plugged in. I actually had to open up the compartment, open up the engine, and blow all the snow out that had
Oh, really?
built up in there. Yeah, snow had found its way in there. If there is a crack that a piece of paper could slide under, snow is going to find its way in there when we've got winds in excess of you know, we
40.
winds up to 30 miles per hour during this storm.
Yeah, it was very noisy outside too. Like it was just constant. Like it sounded like we had constant traffic going past our house, even though we didn't. Like the roads, I'm sure were impassable until this morning when the plows went by. But it was just noisy.
But all the animals are doing good. I have not been able to film out there because the camera, it's actually so cold out there that the camera starts to seize up. It starts to not be able to focus properly and all that. But somehow animals survive in temperatures like this as long as you give them some shelter. They don't need any heat. They don't need any, you know, we don't have horses, so I don't know about horses needing warming blankets, but we don't do any of that. We don't do sweaters for any of the animals. And they do just fine with their hides and their wool and their hair and fur. They all just do fine. Oh, feathers. So.
Don't chickens have like, I know ducks and geese, they have like this waterproof feathers
Yep.
that helps keep them dry and insulated inside.
Down.
Is it the down? Okay, and chickens have the same thing, right?
Yep, they gotta layer it down.
Yeah, so they're prepared to handle cold weather. As long as they're out of the wind, chickens can handle surprisingly very cold temperatures. It's just that breeze, you want to get them, you need to give them a spot to get out of the wind, so.
Yep. And some of our barns are a little drafty, but they're not getting hit with the full brunt force of up to 50-mile-per-hour gusts of wind. And I got hit with a couple of those while I was working out there, right on the forehead. And that's
To hurt your brain?
yeah, it gave me a brain freeze. Like within seconds, it was just okay. Got to turn away and just hide my face. And I had nowhere to go except to turn away from it. I was out in the open,
Yeah.
and it was just complete brain freeze right there. And I had to turn around, and it eventually dissipated. But that's how bad the wind is. How cold it is out there is just very, very quickly you could be, I don't know, incapacitated.
Yeah.
It seems to me like if I had not been able to get out of that and it just kept hitting me in the forehead, I want to say it would have given me a massive headache at least, if not. Yeah, I don't want to be over dramatic, but it was not fun.
Well, there's someone who actually, they became paralyzed because they slipped on ice and fell on their back, and no one was around and no one knew that they had done that. And so they spent like the whole night outside flat on their back until someone found him eventually the next day. So he's lucky to be alive, but he is paralyzed now. So you just want to be careful.
Owner,
Yeah, the previous owner of this place. And so,
I had tuned out for a second. I'd gone somewhere else.
It's okay. But so yeah, you want to be careful. Like, you know, it's always good to have, you know, I guess maybe we need to talk about, like, if you're away from the house and I haven't heard from you in a certain amount of time, I need to call you, or I need to send a kid out to go find you. Just so that in case there is an accident, like you slip on ice and you hit your head or hurt your back or something like that, you know, I know, okay, it's been too long, someone should go find you. So.
Yeah, speaking of good boots, those do help. I don't have great boots. I've got good military boots that I was able to keep from Arctic training. What was that? They issued us a bunch of Arctic weather gear because I was in the Minnesota National Guard. And so I had to have it on hand. Never actually used it, except for in Kosovo. I wore the boots a little bit, but
Excuse me for opening a can.
I never used it for the purposes for which they issued it to us all. Because I only went to Afghanistan and Kosovo, and Kosovo gets about as cold as here, maybe almost as cold. It doesn't quite have the weather that we have here.
You could potentially find some chains that with spikes. You can buy those to slip on your boots.
Yeah.
I know
Yep.
Chad from is it the 1st and 508 Airborne? When he goes on his hikes, he's got strap-on chains that he puts on his boots so he doesn't slip.
I should get a pair of those. For like the last 2 years I've been intending to.
Yeah.
I was slipping around out there the other day.
Mm-hmm.
When I came back in, I just had hardened snow and ice on the bottom of the boots,
Yeah.
and was like, it felt like I was trying to walk across an ice skating rink.
Mm-hmm. The children are requesting something.
I've got meatballs. I've got carnivore power balls coming out here in like 2 minutes. They'll be ready.
You mean 1 minute?
So, we are currently running the air fryer. We've got carnivore power balls in there because I need to eat, and we are going to keep this to an hour or less because I still got to get out there and finish up chores. I wasn't able to complete them all earlier with the tractor down.
Yeah. Maybe even plow a little bit.
Yeah, I should blow some snow.
Yep.
So
Just so we could escape if we need to. So.
having a tractor here comes in clutch. Like I don't know how we would do everything that we do here without the tractor all throughout the year. You know, it's interesting. I use it more during the winter than I do during the summer. But I had somebody ask me once if I'd ever consider selling it, and I was like, yeah, I don't know about that. You know, I'd have to get another tractor, and they're like, well, you don't actually use it that much. And I'm like, okay, yeah, maybe I don't use it every single day for 8 hours a day, but when I need it, I gotta have it.
Yeah.
And it can do the work the equivalent of 10 men easily. So you give me 10 guys that I gotta hire at $20 an hour to do some hard skilled manual labor around here, or you give me that tractor. That tractor only costs, roughly $500 a month versus paying 10 guys to come and do the same job for $20 an hour. It just doesn't make any sense. So
And I've found that you like every single year you consistently use it more and more because I think you're finding that there are more things that need it. And so like starting out, we didn't have a lot of uses for the tractor besides brush mowing the pasture because we didn't have enough livestock to be eating it so that the pasture wouldn't go to seed too soon. And moving the garden beds, but like now with getting like round bales of hay, like you're not moving that. Like you could maybe move it by hand, but you need to have more than one person to move those half-ton round bales. Are those round bales half-ton? So tractor is incredibly helpful. So, and especially with how you're doing your chores now. If you don't want to be hauling like gallons and gallons of water around the whole entire place.
yeah,
So.
well, and that's been huge. Once I realized I could put an IBC tote on the front forks and drive that around with a garden hose adapter on the front. And I've actually not fixed the lever, the nozzle lever, because I found out that if I just tilt it back, that keeps the water. I don't have to fill the entire thing. So that keeps the water in the portion below the outlet. When I want water to come out, I just tip it forward and water comes out. So that works way better than having to get out, adjust or open the nozzle and then switch back to the get back in the cab to survive the negative 45 degree winds, wind chill and all that. Anyway, yeah, we've found a ton of things to do with it. Watering the animals, carrying water around, using it as a mobile toolbox to carry me and something else and tools around, moving the hay. I get my feed at less than half the price of what I used to pay for it, compared to when you go in and buy those 40 to 50 pound bags of feed at the store. Instead of doing that, I go to the local feed mill, I have them fill a big 1-ton bag, only half full though, to make it easier for the tractor to lift. I can lift a ton with the tractor, it's just a little iffy and I can't always lift it up as high as I'd like. So we switched over to just doing half tons per bag. So I get 2 bags on a little 5x8 trailer, bring them home, lift them off, and then we go, so ultimately, like, it's less than half the price of the regular price of feed at Tractor Supply or Baumgars or wherever you go get your feed from.
Yep.
Fleet Farm. We're paying, so I pay about 20 cents a pound. Little
For
less
feed.
than 20 cents a pound for the feed that we get, which we give to both the chickens and we give to the pigs. And then every once in a while a sneaky cow gets over there and gets some.
Yeah.
But,
And we also feed the quail with it too.
Oh yeah, the quail.
So we've gotten a special mixture that our feed mill does for us that is very secret.
It's a multi-purpose monogastral animal feed, designed together with me and our feed dietitian, our animal dietitian, who we don't get feed from anymore because it's too far away.
Yeah.
It's too expensive. It was good, high quality, organic, soy-free feed, but we can't afford it anymore.
Yeah.
I can't afford to be making a 4-hour trip because it took about an hour and a half or more, about an hour and 35 minutes to drive there, hour and 35 minutes to drive back, and then of course when you get there, you got to get loaded up. It takes them a little while, and then they always want to talk, and you don't want to turn down the opportunity to talk because you're out here in the middle of almost nowhere. How often do you get a chance to talk about something that you both have a mutual interest in? So I always talk with the owner, and she's a nice old gal, and we wish that we could continue supporting them, but I just can't afford to I can't afford to be gone for 4 hours,
Yep.
a day when I could just drive down the road to the local feed mill. They're 5 minutes away.
Yeah. Unless the customers who have ordered us to raise chickens for them want organic feed, we just don't go through her anymore. We just can't afford it. But if they want it, we'll buy it, then they can get it for their chickens.
That is the one, the one, I can't think of the word. The one time when we would go down and buy the organic feed again now.
Yeah.
Is when somebody wants to pay for it. Otherwise, we're doing the next best thing, It's better than buying the chickens from the store. And who knows what's in them and the antibiotics and all the stuff that, the USDA doesn't require them to put on the label. I'm getting on my soapbox again.
All right, so we'll read some of the comments then. So, yes, and 2, he is very cute. Glitter Fart says, I just got back from feeding and breaking ice. Hope everyone is staying warmer than I am. Well, I mean, we're going out, like our daughter has to go out every hour to a half hour to go check on eggs to make sure that they don't freeze. So luckily that's just not too far for her to go check, and then Brandon has to go out still. So yeah, we're all staying warm in the house, but every once in a while someone has to do go out there and get stuff done. So yeah. Yes, we like knowing what our chickens have been eating, and we would love to do the organic and non-soy. That's what we did the first 2 years, but then the prices started skyrocketing, and then with the added amount of time it took him to go get it and to come back, it was just, and if sometimes we'd have emergencies of needing feed right away because somehow notifications wouldn't have been done and all of a sudden we're out of feed, and then we don't have anything for a couple of days. So it's just easier when we're so clean, or not so clean, so close to the feed mill. So yes, clean eating. I had a feeling that that's what you meant. It was clean eating. So So yes, here are the power balls. It is hamburger, bacon, and salt and cheese, I believe. Right?
Hamburger, bacon, all the bacon grease.
All the bacon grease, yes,
From
from the bacon.
Yep. I've learned to not be afraid of that anymore. It's not going to cause bad cholesterol and all that. So, oh, mozzarella
Yeah, mozzarella cheese.
and 2 eggs per 4 pounds of hamburger, 4 pounds of bacon, 1 pound of cheese, and 2 eggs, and then 1.28 ounces of salt.
And it is delicious.
Yep.
It is very good.
I think these are better than the ones that we put the andouille sausage in.
Yeah, we tried it with sausage, and it was just a bit too much with that sausage in it. So, what was it? Just too seasoned?
Yeah.
It was a bit over seasoned. So, we made chicken dumpling. All right, go check on your eggs. Don't let them freeze. It doesn't take long. So, yeah, I used to like making a good chicken dumpling soup. But now it's going carnivore, we can't really do that.
Our family has a traditional recipe of
Me too, and two.
bacon and dumplings. Bacon and dumplings are the favorite traditional food of the Hanson side. And it's basically dumplings, and then you've got this whole big side of bacon grease, and you dip the dumplings in the bacon grease.
Huh, okay.
And you eat those along with strips of bacon that had been basically stewed. So instead of fried, you just put all this bacon in a pan, cook it down so it simmers in its own fat, and yeah, it's a very different thing. Oh, and of course, sauerkraut. Gotta have sauerkraut. That's the Norwegian side, and it's a traditional Norwegian dish. A lot of people of our particular Norwegian Germanic descent, I guess it's a traditional dish. I didn't know about it, until we were married, I think. I didn't know about it, but apparently our family, Hanson side, has been eating it for generations.
So our our oldest and our youngest ish, they take care of the quail, and right now they're dealing with the quail's water freezing, of course, and so like within a half hour of them pouring water for the quail, it's frozen. And so something that they've started doing now is putting snow in the spot where the water was, because the snow isn't going to melt and then turn into ice. It's already in its form, and the quail can eat snow. The chickens will eat snow. Like all the birds will eat snow. So if like you're struggling with freezing water with these temperatures, it does not take long for the water to freeze. If they're willing to eat the snow for their water intake, then just give them snow. Water can just be too much. The pigs will eat the snow. I don't know about the cows.
Not really.
Not really?
They don't really eat snow to replace water.
Okay, so it's just pigs, chickens, and any waterfowl, and then the quail. So there is that option if it's just too cold to do water and you have those animals. So
It would take a lot of snow for the cows to replace water with snow. It'd be because they drink I think the rule of thumb is 1 gallon of water per 100 pounds of animal weight.
Really? Wow.
So they're drinking up to 10 to 15 gallons a day.
Okay. So what other advice would you have for people who are having to go through, or something that we have to adapt to? So, because I know in the South, they are getting some really cold weather too, in Texas right now. And so of course people down in the South, they're not, it's not that they're not prepared, it's just they don't have to deal with this a lot, so they don't have the infrastructure to deal with the cold temperatures when every once in a while they do come. So what are some of the recommendations you would give folks from the South who are going to be dealing with cold weather coming their way?
Hold on to your hats. Basically, what we've talked about, keeping, making sure animals have shelter, making sure they have extra feed. You might want to free feed them. Of course, they need water still. So if you're having trouble with water, maybe if this is a very rare occurrence for you, you don't want to go out and buy a water heater. Get them hot water. And other than pigs, most animals will respect the water and not try to drink it while it's cooling. You want to sit up or do you want to lean back? But pigs will drink and eat anything. They will try to eat hot food to the point where they burn themselves. Found that out the hard way when I took something out to them that wasn't quite cooled off. Didn't even think about it. It was a complete mind blank. And what we found out was you do not give pigs anything that hasn't cooled down enough for them to be able to ingest it, because they were eating it while they were screaming.
Yeah, it's too hot.
It was horrible. It was traumatizing to me. And they continued to eat it, not realizing it was the hot food that was boiling their throats alive, scalding them from the inside out. But thankfully I got it away from them, or I got them away from it, can't remember which. About 5 seconds was all it took for me to realize I needed to intervene, because they were not going to stop. And they wanted to keep coming back and getting it. One of them did get around me and screamed, and I think that's when I removed the food from their pen. So,
Temperature appropriate food.
but hot water, otherwise hot water for the animals that are going to need water, that's exposed to the elements or exposed to any temperatures below freezing, especially if you get below 0. Hot water will last a little bit longer out there, or make it warm or whatever. But if you got tons of animals, then you just have to, your water reservoir is probably large enough at that point to afford buying a water heater.
Yeah.
I just got a floating one that keeps the top of the water tank thawed, and that has been really nice. However, it's not kept up with this weather, so if it's out in the elements, that's the water tank out in the pasture, the brand new one that we just put out there. Right before this blizzard hit, I put a floating water heater out there, ice de-icer out there, and it kept it thawed right up until the blizzard. And then once we started to go negative, it all froze over. So doesn't work when it's exposed to negative 45-degree winds.
With a 45-degree wind chill, and it's not fun out there. It's really not. So
I don't really have a whole lot more. folks.
No.
It's pretty simple. Animals don't need a whole lot. Um,
Shelter, feed, water,
yep.
and just staying on top of things. If you want eggs, go check on your eggs. Every hour to a half hour, depending on how cold it is.
Yep. We've got enough chickens that lay enough eggs that it's worth it to get out there and check every half hour.
And the shelter doesn't have to be fancy. They just have to get out of the wind. It doesn't have to be insulated. You don't have to put a heater in there. I mean, unless you're dealing with babies, you really don't need any like heat source as long as they're, so even newborns. We've had newborn lambs in like negative degrees. And
Yep.
as long
Negative
as
20 degrees, they had,
Yeah.
we had 1 or 2 born.
Yeah, and so as long as they're getting milk from their mom, they can survive it as long as they're out of the wind. And so, it doesn't have to be dramatic. You don't have to bring them inside. Like our barn is insulated for the most part. Wouldn't you say? No? So the barn isn't insulated.
It holds a little bit of heat. But
Yeah, a little bit. It's usually the coolest building in the summer, besides the house that has AC. But they just get them out of the wind, and usually everyone will be fine. It doesn't have to be a fancy place either. So, but do you have anything else to add? I mean, there's just a little extra stuff you gotta do for cold weather.
Yep, I might make it a short live stream today and,
Yep.
and let me get out and finish doing the miserable work
Mm-hmm.
in the miserable cold.
Yeah.
It's not miserable work. It's miserable when it's this cold outside.
Yeah.
That's
what-
the one thing though that I think a lot of people don't realize is just
Yeah.
how tough animals are. Even newborn animals can survive this. They just need to be able to get out of the wind, have feed, have water, stay fed and hydrated. And if you're real heartbroken for them that they have to be out there, you can knit a little sweater for them, and I'll play the world's tiniest violin.
No, animals are very resilient. You gotta, respect that they're animals and that they are built for this, especially if you get them from your local area. So like the sheep came from local here, so they were already adapted to the weather. They didn't have to travel far. Same with
Yeah.
our cattle, the pigs.
Yeah.
We're just the next state over, and they've been here long enough that they've adapted. So, give your animals some credit. They know how to go through your current weather. And if you are in the south and you're experiencing cold weather, just get them in a building where they can escape the wind. But yeah, I think we'll wrap it up so that he can get back out there to finish everything. Oh, hello, Ragnar. Do you want to say hello to the people? Yes, you want to say hello to the people? Yes. Oh, you smell the bacon, don't you?
Well, I guess before we wrap it up, we gotta talk about how long this is gonna last.
Oh, yeah.
Over 1 week, we're having this weather. We are
Yeah.
so let's see, today's Sunday. I saw that, is it gonna be through this coming Sunday?
Yep.
So over a week, yeah, like 10 days of this weather. Oftentimes, more often than not, we're gonna be in the negatives. It's gonna get up to maybe 10 degrees one day, like, ooh, heat wave. Watch out.
That
Get your
depends on
swim
if there's
trunks
any.
ready.
Is there any wind chill though?
Oh, there's probably wind
There's
chill.
probably wind chill.
Yep.
You think it's gonna be a nice day until you realize that until you realize that there's wind chill, which makes it feel like 10 degrees cooler.
See, for folks who don't have to work outside, they never think about wind chill,
Yeah.
and that's fine. You got walls, you got something to stay, keep the wind on one side of it and you on the other side of it. You'll be just fine. However, wind chill is a major factor when it comes to working outside that you always got to be aware of, and that's become way more clear to us living here doing what we're doing now. Without that tractor, without an enclosed vehicle here, with the animals not all being in barns, but they do have shelter, don't worry. The pigs have their pig shelters, and Doomstud is out there with the piglets, believe it or not. He's keeping them company, and they're just in a lean-to shelter. He would not follow me into the barn. I didn't want to get him in the barn, but he wouldn't follow me, so I'm just praying that everything's fine with him out there. He seems to be just fine. eating and drinking and doing all the things that a bull needs to do. But
And he has company of the piglets.
yeah, and he's got some company out there, so he's not freaking out too much. Though he tears out of that building as soon as he sees me approach the gate because he's thinking I don't know, coming to spear him or something. He is a very cowardly bull, which I'm fine with. I want him to stay away from me. I don't want him to get too comfortable and think that he can approach me and then maybe think that he needs to do something dominant like bulls do and hurt me. So,
Yeah.
but we've got, just to quickly talk about future plans for the animals. We do intend to, if you haven't seen it in our videos, previously, Doomstud, his name is Doomstud because he is doomed to go to freezer camp. He is a not a beef steer, he's a beef bull, and he's the last name, Stud, that is because he is acting as a backup to the artificial insemination that we've had done with Dawn. So just in case the artificial insemination didn't take, which I think it did, because I haven't seen any signs of her coming into heat, I haven't seen any signs of him being interested in her, except initially, like, you know, when new animals meet. I haven't seen any mounting, I haven't seen any courting, if you would. He's not been chasing her around or her trying to get extra playful with him over long periods of time. You know, you'll see this go on for quite a while, from what I understand, or you could. But I have not seen any of that, so I'm thinking she's probably pregnant. She's probably got a calf in there, which is really good because it came from a really good quality Jersey bull. The genetics are A2A2 and was it BB for the fat quality, which I'd really like in a calf. So we are looking forward to her calving about
August?
8 months from now.
Because she was
That'd be like
inseminated in
September.
December. She was inseminated in December, so yeah.
I think it would be about September. I marked it on the calendar when her due date would be if the insemination took place or took effect,
Yep.
if it was successful.
Mhm.
We've got our new breeding gilt, who is as old as our breeding sows, but has not had any piglets yet, so she is still a gilt. We've got her out in the pasture, and she's been out there with the boars, so hopefully they got the job done, and she is going to have piglets in the near future. And again, they can easily have piglets even in weather like this, and they all survive. Well, as many of them as normally survive. There's been quite a few deaths with piglets here. However, we've got juvenile piglets that we're raising for meat. I have 4 that we're probably going to butcher. Probably going to butcher about, I'd say at least 2, if not 3 of them for us, because of all the extra meat we're eating now.
Yep.
I'm really tired of buying bacon, even when we can find it for $5 a pound. Good quality bacon for $5 a pound. Did buy some cheaper stuff for $3 a pound the other day that was on sale. That's more so for baking and cooking, or for when we're mixing it with things like these meatballs. But I'm really tired of buying bacon when I know that we can make way better bacon here with one ingredient, which is just salt. And it tastes as good, if not better, than the best bacon that you can find out there. Plus, just being able to get away from the sugar curing that's been done with a lot of our bacon. A lot of sugar's added to the bacon, which you don't actually get that much sugar in the bacon itself.'t though it tastes sweet, most of that sweetness is just from the meat. Pork itself tastes pretty sweet.
Yeah, and you wanna use your smoke shack more than just once too. You know, you went through all the trouble of building it last year.
Yep. I only did 1 pig in there last year, and most of that were sides bacon. I'm trying to think here. how did I do more than 2 slabs?
There was 2 pigs.
Oh, and we kept both pigs?
No, you gave it to your parents and
Yeah,
to
one
your
pig was
brother, I
split
think.
between,
Yeah, so
they got pork bellies, so we didn't use it all.
you
Anyway.
might have just found a different cut and turned it into bacon.
Yeah, I think I did. So we are going to make a whole bunch of bacon because we eat tons of bacon. No, probably not tons. Maybe over the course of a couple of years, we'd eat a whole ton of bacon. But yeah, want to use the smoker. Also going to try some brisket bacon when we butcher Doomstud. And I do have 2 briskets out in the freezer right now that I need to thaw out and cure, but I've got other things that take precedent over doing that at the moment. So, but I hear that brisket, beef bacon, is amazing, and I really want to try it. So I think that's what I'm going to do with our brisket. Turn it into beef bacon. Actually, one of them is mine, one of them is my parents, and I've got to do that for them.
Okay.
So I'll have to check and see if they want some beef bacon.
Okay. Well,
Well,
should we wrap it up?
Yep, I'm ready to be done talking and get started on the chores. So without anything else to entertain you guys with today, thanks for watching. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for the comments.
Have a
You
good
as
evening.
well, Steve. And 2, you already left, it looks like, but thank you for the comments. And Glitter, good to see you. You all have a great day. Great rest of the day. Everybody take care, stay safe, hug somebody, God bless you. Everything is going to be okay. Peace.